This is the Sideline Slice, presented by Valentino's Pizza, the official pizza of the Huskers. Here's your host, Jessica Coody, and Husker Radio Network analyst, Jeremiah Sirles.
And we're back for another episode of the Sideline Slice, presented by Valentino's Pizza, alongside Jeremiah Sirles. I'm Jessica Coody, and not quite a Halloween episode, but we normally tape one around this time of the year. Sirles is not in his Halloween costume, but I always cannot wait to hear what Em has cooked up for you guys, what the game plan is for Halloween this year for the Sirles clan.
Yeah, so my brother and his girlfriend are coming into town, and per Oliver's request, we are all Spidey and friends. So Oliver is Spidey-Man, my daughter is Ghosty, Graham will be Spin, I'm the Hulk, obviously typecast, and then the wife is Electro, my brother's girlfriend Val is Green Goblin, and then my brother is, what's the other one? I don't know, I can't keep them all straight. But we're all going to be Spidey and friends, and we've got the full costumes and the Hulk mask, and I'll paint my arms green and the whole bit. So it'll be a lot of fun.
So this is the first time the Verman's getting some input on the costumes,
he is,
right?
He had this planned months ago. I mean, months ago, right? The first time we asked him, hey, buddy, what do you want to be for Halloween? He goes, all of us, Spidey and friends. I was like, sure, sounds good, bud. We'll go for it.
Is that a cartoon?
Yeah, it's a cartoon of like, it's literally it's like it's kind of a spin off the Spidey multiverse. I don't know. I've watched it a few times. It's entertaining.
Okay. And then we always ask you this. Your favorite candy is the Reese's, the pumpkins. Always. But what is Oliver, what is he looking for in his candy sack? What's his favorite?
Anything.
He's not picky? He takes after his dad?
Aren't picky at all. So what we do, though, and I learned this from a friend, we've already bought like 2 toys really, Graham doesn't count, 2 toys that have been up on top of the fridge. And what we tell our kids is, hey, after Halloween, we'll get some candy, we'll put it away, but then you can buy those toys with your leftover Halloween candy. And most of that is so that we just don't have stacks of candy sitting around the house for months at a time. We can just throw it away or give it away or do whatever. But yeah, so he likes the chocolate, but he is not picky whatsoever.
Oh, takes after his old man there.
Absolutely. You don't get this big by eating nothing.
Is he on the path to be your size? Do you guys know?
Yeah, I mean, he's 99. He's been 99th percentile for height and weight at every checkup that he's ever been to. So, yeah, he's definitely well on his way there. I hope he can get a little bit of the wife's slimmer figure so that maybe we're talking tight end and not necessarily offensive lineman, but you never know.
What class again?
2032, I believe.
Yeah, 2032. All right, well, let's get into it. What a battle. And, you know, I got to give you props on this one, too, because going back to last week, you said, look, with Nebraska, there might have been times in the past where Ohio State runs out on the field and they are just head and shoulders, talent-wise, better than Nebraska, but not this year. Nebraska had some talent to match up, and it looked like that on Saturday, especially, you know, down there on the sidelines. It looked like a team that matched up. Yeah,
it not just matched up, but from a physical standpoint, but from a competitive standpoint. You know, when you play a team against like Ohio State or Alabama or LSU, it's really easy to go in there and be like, man, this team is just so much better than us. And just know like, hey, yeah, we're going to fight this team, but man, they're just better than us. And on paper, Ohio State at almost every position is better than us. But that doesn't mean that you don't play the game. And Nebraska went out there and took it to them from defensively, especially from the first series on, and put them on notice, hey, you're going to earn it today. Right, regardless of the talent level, regardless if we're in the shoe and 100,000 strong or whatever, it's not going to be easy for you guys today. And that is a testament to Coach Rule. That's a testament to every single individual on that football team of how they prepared during the week and how they went out and played. And obviously it didn't get us in the win column like we wanted to, but I was extremely proud to call myself a Husker fan with the performance that they put on Saturday.
Who would you give the game ball to on defense?
Man, I don't even know.
I know, right?
I really don't.
I know,
everyone just played so complimentary well together. I mean, we talked about how the receivers and the DBs were going to have to be tight coverage with this skill group, and now it was going to be a combination of getting to the quarterback and stopping the run, and everyone played a part. Every single player that walked out on that field played very good football. And it's like I said, if we wanted to win this game, we had to play our best football game. And defensively, that was our best football game that we've played all year. And so I watched it twice, and no one was just like single-handedly like, oh, that was the game guy. I mean, that was as team effort on defense that I've seen this team play in a very long time.
That being said, though, it was good to see Jamari Butler, and he's been a little banged up. He looked 100%. He was wrecking some havoc, and then MJ Sherman looked really impressive to me. Those are two guys that seem to really have a day when. Again, you talked last week about some of those guys winning their battles when they try to double team Ty Robinson at times, and I thought Jamari and MJ really rose to the challenge.
Yeah, when you have a backup left tackle in, you want to say, hey, show that you're head and shoulders better than this guy. And Jamari did. I mean, losing Josh Simmons for Ohio State was a big loss for them, and they're going to feel that for a few weeks going on here as they continue to face better and better defenses as they get into Big Ten play here. But, I mean, from the first third down on, Jamari Butler lined up over that backup left tackle and just had him spinning. Didn't know what he was doing, matched up out physically, and then had a good rush plan against him. And so MJ Sherman, same thing. They took advantage, and Tony White, credit to him, understanding, hey, where's their weak link on the offensive line? Yes, they have an All-American guard in Jackson at the left guard position, but let's set things up to where the left tackle is the one that's going to have to be the one-on-one, right? Sliding to the right, blitzing off the right, so the guards in the line sliding into it, creating that true one-on-one matchup, and then just relying on our veteran pass rushers and our veteran players to go up against a younger, inexperienced player for them at left tackle and finding ways to create that mismatch.
How about the kicker, John Hull? He goes 3 for 3, knocks down the 54-yarder. It ties a program record for the longest field goal on the road. Brett Maher was the other one, and that's his coach now. But he looked so confident, and I can't say that I would have said that 3 weeks ago, so there's the process of that practice, coming to fruition, and, he steps up and delivers when the points were hard to come by and in some big moments, and that's got to be big for this team moving forward to see him kick 3 through the uprights.
Absolutely. I mean, points are a premium in the Big Ten, always, and they can be such momentum swingers, too. You go on a long drive, you're on the fringe area of field goal, and you miss the field goal, or you can't have the confidence to kick the field goal, and so you're punting, and that could be big momentum swings versus even if you get stifled at the 30-yard line and you can get 3 points out of it and get a kickoff and give energy back to your defense and deflate them a little bit. I know it seems like, man, you want to score touchdowns, you don't just want 3, but just any points is points when it comes down to it. And an offense that's struggling to find identity and rhythm and put high numbers of points on the board, getting 6-9 points a game out of your kicker, it can be the difference between winning and losing. It's the only reason we were in that game in the end, to give ourselves a chance to win. I'm just hoping it's not a Jekyll and Hyde situation, right? I'm hoping we truly turned a corner. We're there now. Operation looked much more clean. Protection looked more clean. And then execution of the kick looked clean. That's got to be the standard. We can't ride this roller coaster of up and downs, right? We have to know that when we put the field goal unit out there, it's 3 points on the board, right? Just automatic. You got to have it. And it's going to happen. There's going to be some misses, but it's got to be more in the make columns than the miss columns. So very, very proud of Hull, proud of Maher. I know he's been coaching his butt off. So all flowers to that unit right now. They did a great job on Saturday in a tough place to play.
All right, and Dylan Raiola, we saw him make some explosive plays with his feet after we spent a lot of time talking about that last week, that he's didn't run as much against Indiana. And what I thought was fascinating, on the TV show, I asked Coach Troll, was that part of the game plan going into it? He said, no, it wasn't. It was just something that Dylan saw and took advantage of. For a freshman quarterback to recognize that in a game and then to see when it was open to utilize it and be confident to do it. What do you make of that, and how impressive that is for Dylan to recognize that and be able to do what he did with his feet?
Yeah, I mean, just high level IQ play from a young player to understand when they're in man coverage because they wanted to blitz him and they wanted to get him off his spot. When you have man coverage and the receivers are running and DB's got their backs turned, there's a lot of green grass there. And Dylan's not a bad athlete, right? He's not an elite athlete by any means. He's not Lamar Jackson or Jaden Daniels or anything like that. But that doesn't mean that he's Phillip Rivers or Peyton Manning, right? He's a good athlete, and he can make things happen. And he put the rest of the teams that we're going to play on notice that if you want to blitz and you want to go and play this man coverage on our receivers, he can go earn ourselves 3-4 first downs a game and have 30 to 40 yards rushing a game. And that just adds an element that the defense has to prepare for. It's going to open some things up in the passing game, if they want to go more zone coverage now so that guys are looking back into the backfield so he can't escape there. I thought it was a very high-level IQ play by him. You know, Satterfield talking about how he's like, man, I didn't know he could run. That just goes to show that Dylan is identifying and recognizing things in real time and implementing them in real time. And for an 18, 19-year-old kid to be doing that in the horseshoe against the number 4 team in the country, that cannot be overstated enough how high of a level he is playing at from an X's and O's standpoint when he's reading and reacting.
Absolutely. Okay, I don't want to dive too much in the officiating. We spent a lot of time on Sports Nightly.
It was trash.
Okay, but I don't want to spend all the time of this podcast talking about that. But I did want to get your perspective just on the pass interference and the offensive pass interference. And Isaiah Neyor has been a guy I would love to. I was telling Greg this on the show last night about if there's a way to see how many pass interference penalties that he has drawn, because he's just such a tough matchup. But I don't know, how do you go about that? I mean, and that's what I'd ask Coach Raiola about it, and he goes, I don't know anymore. You know, when you're teaching guys one thing, and then in the game it's different. And I don't know, I guess your perspective on that, and how can you go about as a wide receiver, as Isaiah Neyor going into it, or even Jamal Banks, and in some of these situations, and avoid getting that offensive PI?
I don't have.
When it doesn't get called very often.
Unless it's us, I feel like we've had more OPI calls this year than any team in the country that I've watched, and it just goes back to it's so inconsistently called, right? It's like when the NFL didn't know what's a catch, right? Was that a catch? Is that a catch? I don't know. It just needs to have a clear cut. This is what OPI is. It has to have these markers, and if they don't have these markers, it needs to be called off. And the phantom OPI call there, I believe, right before halftime, was just so bizarre to me. It's just two guys hand fighting, and it's almost like if there's any type of contact between receiver and DB anymore, it's getting thrown one way or the other. And if you've ever stood next to Neyor, and I know you have, the dude is freakish. He's big. I mean, he's got longer arms.
Yeah.
He's got longer arms than I do, right? He's got 35-inch arms. So any type of extension by him is going to look like this giant push-off. That's not fair to him. Just because he's a better freak than you doesn't mean that you get to call out pass interferences on him, right? And that's the stuff that's frustrating is I don't know what these refs are looking at sometimes to look and see that, but it's one of those things you can't really tell them to play anything different. I wouldn't tell them to change one way or shape or form how they're playing. They're playing physical. They're going to go up and play for contested catches. It's not something I feel like you can coach out of a guy of being physical and going up for the ball and not letting these DBs put their hands on you. Yeah,
to me, it just seemed like, what do you do? You know, because it's you feel like you go about it a certain way, and then all of a sudden here it is getting called, and in some big time moments, you know, and I think we all agree that a couple of them shouldn't have been called, but that's neither here nor there.
Trash.
I think, you know, your perspective on Isaiah, just that we see it week in and week out. Guys have a hard time matching up with him, so
yes.
It's not going to be on him as much as it is on the defensive back.
Yeah, and that's the thing is for every one OPI we have called, we're going to get 3 or 4 DPIs, right? That's just going to happen when your receiver is that big. And Raiola is fantastic, and I know he says he doesn't do this, but he definitely is understanding when to utilize the underthrow and fade route. Like, he understands that, and again, high IQ.
He sees it. I watch it. He sees it. I know he does.
Absolutely. DB's got his back turned. The receiver's got a step. You underthrow that ball by half a yard. Neyor's got a good feeling of coming back through the defender. That's going to be DPI 9 out of 10 times. And so that's why I said, as much as the OPI stuff is frustrating, I don't want those guys to change the way that they're going about things and doing things, because the second you start trying to change the way you compete for a ball or do those things, that's when the receiver's playing timid or scared to go up and do it because he's worried about OPI, and then the defense undercuts it and it's interceptions. I don't want them to change anything at all. The officiating just needs to be better. The Big Ten needs to be better at holding these guys accountable for some trash calls.
Okay, last thing on this, and then we'll move forward and talk about the UCLA matchup. Just, I guess, your big takeaways on the offense and just how they can continue to improve and get better and put more points on the board.
Our creativity in our run game needs to be better. And a lot of people this week have been talking about what's our scheme and how we do things. And, you know, it's not fair to Sat or anyone to say, well, we just got to change our scheme at the halfway point of the season here. That's not a realistic thing to think about. However, there are ways to put lipstick on a pig, right? If it's a tough run scheme that we're having right now, make it tougher on the defense by motioning guys and having 3 receivers move and tight ends go from the backfield to the line of scrimmage or from the line of scrimmage into the backfield, and changing formations and changing personnel groups. And the scheme is the scheme, but get to the scheme differently. Because I feel like our tendencies right now, teams have a pretty good read on the tendencies of what our offense wants to do running the football. We have to find ways to get to running the football from variations of looks. I think that's a big piece that can really help this offense continue to check boxes as it continues to go throughout the back half of the year here. And then again, just continuing to be high percentage completion throws for Dylan, whether that's RPO game, whether that's all that stuff. So I just really would enjoy some more creativity and some more things to make the defense worry about in real time for this offense, because nothing's going to change schematically between here and the end of November.
Valentino's, treasured Italian family recipes passed down for generations. Valentino's has become Nebraska's classic Italian tradition and proudly served in Memorial Stadium for over 30 years. All right, let's close the chapter. Let's move forward. Another big one at home and another team coming off a bye, UCLA. And we've talked a lot about this throughout the pick segment, that UCLA, for maybe as tough as the start was for the Bruins, they've seemed to have figured some things out here lately and got a win over Rutgers, and then again coming off the bye. There's some ties there with Tony White and UCLA, but I guess let's start with the defense. And you were very complimentary, obviously, just a few minutes ago about their performance in the best of the season. How much are you looking for maybe a repeat performance and stacking those performances with the one they just had against Ohio State?
Yeah, that's going to be extremely important. And you look at this UCLA team, and they're definitely more of a pass-happy team than a run team, right? They want to throw the ball. I think they only have, I looked it up today, they only have 452 rushing yards on the year, right? So they're not a team that you're worried about like a Northern Iowa or a Michigan or an Iowa that's going to line up and try and just pound with the rock. This is a team that's going to want to spread it out, get the ball out of their hands fast, and go. So again, we're talking about complementary football being key for the defense here. Receivers and the DBs getting up in the receiver's face and challenge them at the line of scrimmage. Jamari Butler, MJ Sherman, Ty Robinson, Elijah Judy winning their one-on-one matchups in the front, because this is a quick passing type of offense that they want to get the ball out quick. Their tight ends, their leading receiver, right? So there's a lot of quick elements to this game. So the big thing for the Nebraska defensive side is just going to be continuing to win the line of scrimmage battle and get to the quarterback and affect his throwing lanes.
What about the UCLA, the improvements that we've seen from them? What are you seeing out of them that they are playing better, that they're putting a better product on the field here over the last few weeks?
They've taken better care of the football in the last couple of weeks. Early in the year, they were turning the ball over like crazy. They were giving their defense short fields, and teams were taking advantage of that. I feel like offensively, they've done a much better job in the turnover margin of giving themselves a chance to put themselves in games or putting up a lot more points, right? So the completion percentage, look for Ethan here, he's at a 64.5 completion percentage, which is pretty dang good for a college quarterback. So, they've just done things to simplify their offense, to give good reads, to get ball out of his hands quickly, and that's just been kind of from the offensive side, which is where they've been winning football games, be able to score some points.
And then what have you seen out of the Bruins on the defensive side of the ball? What is going to be the challenge there for the Nebraska offense?
Yeah, we're going to have to continue to really work on being physical against this group. The teams that have had success against the UCLA team are the ones that have just been physical up front, pounded on them, challenged them, wore them out throughout the game. You allow them to get into third and longs and let them get their pass rushers on the field and get after you. They can create some mismatches and create some issues up front for us. So the running game, and I feel like I say it every week, but the running game is going to continue to be very important for this team, and finding ways to get ahead of the sticks, because this is a team that really will try and get after the quarterback if you allow them to.
Okay, let's get into some keys. What are the 3 biggest ones against the Bruins for the Huskers this week?
Touchdowns in the red zone is number 1 for me. Field goals are great. I'm glad that we get points, but converting red zone trips to touchdowns, right? We had 1st and goal from the 6-yard line, came away with no points. We had 1st and 10 from the 42-yard line, came around with no points. If we can get the ball into opposing teams' territory, finishing in the end zone is going to be key against the UCLA Bruins this week. Right, putting the pressure on their offense to keep up with us, not the other way around. right? Keep up with us. We're scoring touchdowns, make them score touchdowns, because I have the faith in our defense to make them kick field goals, right? And then the second thing is getting our punt game back in order, right? Buschini, getting back to him having that confidence. He had some really good ones, had some up in the air ones last week, flipping the field, letting the Blackshirts with the home field advantage and the crowd going crazy, making UCLA go the full length of the field, not giving them short fields because of punts and whatnot. So getting our punts back on there, and then winning the turnover battle is going to be my third key here. You know, every week it's talked about. Every week it's why you win and lose football games. I have a lot of faith, and I think that our defense is going to make the football get thrown to us a lot by the pressure that we'll create up front, but we got to win the turnover battle.
Seems like forever since the Huskers have been at home.
It does. I mean, that's what happens when you start 5 at home on the road. You're only going to finish with 2 more in the months of October and November there. So it does feel well. I'm going to be at the game this week. I'm super excited, bringing my brother and his girlfriend, and then Emma and her parents. So really excited to be back in Memorial Stadium this weekend.
All right, players to watch?
Yeah, I'm going to go with, on the defensive side of the ball, I want to see Jamari Butler stack 2 weeks in a row, right? He had a really good game last week. I want to see him stack 2 games in a row here, kind of being that dominant presence we saw early in the year. You know, against Colorado, he was great in going that piece. So I'd love to see him continue to grow and build off of that. And then offensively, it's going to be a big-time game for Dante Dowdell. I want to see him shorten this game, hitting the runs, not trying to bounce things to the outside, but staying in between the tackles, trusting the run fits, and allowing the big play to come to him. I want to see him have 100-plus yards and a couple touchdowns in this game.
What do you make of just the next, you got a bye week coming out after this one, but every game that's left is very much winnable, and every game that's left is losable. And I know that the team inside the program there, it's 1-0, it's 1 week at a time, but how do you evaluate just what's ahead, the horizon, and what could be for the Huskers over this next month?
I just want to go bowling after this game. That's why I want to win this game and go, no, the Huskers are going bowling, right? That's a monkey on our back that we have not been able to get off for multiple years now. Don't let it continue to be a question mark. Let's get this game in the books, feel good about ourselves, growing with some momentum going into the bye week, and then looking at all the rest of the games going, hey, we're bowl eligible. Let's go make a run at the Big Ten. Let's go make a run at going to a really good bowl, right? Let's go make a run at doing all these things and just proceeding to have goals out in front of us. But it starts this week. I think if we can go out there and handle business, we get bowl eligible this week, and then the rest on top of that will just continue to be growth in the development of the program.
Be a fun episode next week then.
Absolutely.
If they can get to
I'll be wearing bowling pins or something.
Awesome. Well, have fun trick-or-treating. If you're going to be here, you should bring some of the candy into the studio. Our interns will help you get rid of it.
Perfect. I'll bring it in for sure.
All right. For Jeremiah Sirles, I'm Jessica Coody. This has been the Sideline Slice, presented by Valentino's Pizza, the official pizza of the Huskers.
Go Big Red.
Valentino's, a slice of home you just can't get anywhere else. What started with a treasured family recipe has become a Nebraska tradition for over 65 years. Proud to be the official pizza of the Huskers.